was this wind turbine was being under development by the town of Hull. We started talking to them about purchasing what's called the renewable energy certificates from this wind turbine. And we signed a deal with Hull that was the first one of its kind in New England. And we're still at it almost 10 years later. We're very proud of our relationship with the town of Hull. As you can see, it's a beautiful example of what cities and towns can do. We love all kinds of projects, wind projects, but this one has a special meaning for us because it was the first commercial scale wind project in New England. And if you look at a map, it was the first one on the entire East Coast, say east of Route 95, from Maine to Miami. And unfortunately, when it was built in 2001, we thought that it was going to lead to a rapid proliferation of wind turbines in Massachusetts and New England that was something we would support. It's been a little bit slower than that, and that's why we're all here today to try to make that happen a little bit faster. What we've found is that when we bring people to this turbine, they get a better appreciation for how it could fit into their community. How many people would say that this is quieter than they might have expected? We think that this is a pretty windy day. It's running at a pretty good capacity. And we think that it's an example of how the more you get to know it, the more you can appreciate how it can fit into your community. This project is almost 10 years old. We know because we purchased the certificates, it's producing as well today as it was when it was first built. We've also been concerned as an environmental organization about how it would fit into concerns that people have about bird life. And the reality is, my cat has killed more wind turbines in this one here. I mean, more birds than wind turbines. And as far as we know, I don't think this has killed one bird in its 10 years of existence, which is actually the case with most of the wind turbines throughout the world. The Mass Audubon Society is one of our customers because they believe that wind turbines like this are part of the solution to climate change, and it's far better to have wind turbines like this than to have the problems that fossil fuels present for all kinds of life. So we're here for two reasons: to promote our products, but also, if you live in a community that can support a wind turbine, maybe you can bring back the lesson of the Hull wind turbine. There are 119 cities and towns in Massachusetts that can support a wind turbine because their wind speed is strong enough to make it commercially viable. But we don't have 119 wind turbines, do we? We only have a handful. And so we need you to go back to your communities and to advocate for things like this. Governor Patrick has put together some excellent renewable energy programs. He has a goal of 2,000 megawatts of wind power, and turbines like this can contribute. If every one of the 119 communities built just 3 like this, that would be equivalent to the power that's going to be generated by Cape Wind. So as much as we support the Cape Wind project, and MassEnergy does, it's not the only solution. When we think about wind power, we can also think about on-land power, wind projects like this, like Moon Island in the city of Quincy and the city of Boston, and also going deeper offshore someday than Cape Wind. So without further ado, I do want to point out that when we get back to the boat, you have the opportunity to talk to Next Step Living once again. We hope that you don't leave the boat without thinking about how to make your home more energy efficient. As much as we love wind turbines like this, it would all help if we used less energy, and we wouldn't need as much in the way of fossil fuels. So that's part of the solution. Actually, Next Step Living can sign you up while others are peaking inside the wind turbine. As I said, we have a 10-year relationship with the town of Hull, though. The first person I want to introduce is Andy Stern. It really takes a village to raise a wind turbine, and Andy is one of the citizens who was the spark behind this project, working with a couple of other good friends of mine, John McLeod, who was Richard Miller's predecessor as operations manager, and Malcolm Brown, who was a commissioner of the Hull Light Department. They built this turbine. It took them a couple of years to do it. Once it was built, it had immediate popularity, so much that the town wanted to build a second wind turbine. For those of us who are trying to think about a clean energy future, it starts right here. This is the pioneering wind turbine. So I want you to give a round of applause to Andy, who's going to tell you more